we were talking about this before you came on. I was reading your article, your write-up, and midway through, I'm like, yo, this hasn't happened yet in the doc because we've only gotten the first 2 episodes. This nigga's giving away spoilers. And so y'all need a spoiler alert or something on there.
Yeah. That was my fault. You know, players fuck up too. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's absolutely it's a really great documentary because it talks about hip hop from a perspective as to where you don't really get that side of it too much. It's all mostly hearsay, and in particular with Haitian Jack's story on the story that I wrote, we've always heard about his story just from like, you know, second party type sources, or right. You know, a lot of people really just know him through his affiliation with Tupac, but what that does in a great manner is allow him to tell his story. Now, is he going to embellish some parts? Probably so. I don't know which parts, maybe all of it, maybe some of it. I don't know, but it is fascinating to hear like this hip hop boogeyman actually tell his own story. Yeah.
That's an excellent way to put it. And Wos, I was asking you right before we came on, because I know of him as like a stick-up kid, basically a dude who a bad guy, right? But I never understood what was his actual connection to music, right? In a way that I knew what Deb's connection to music was. I knew what obviously Trick is an artist as well, so we knew kind of how that blended in music, but I never knew like what was Haitian Jack's connection. And Wos, you told me it wasn't no connection other than them knowing Pac.
That's it. Just, you know, just being a dude on the scene, if you will, right? Like when you go to a nightclub, a hip hop spot, who's in there like buying the champagne and spending the money? It's either successful artists or street dudes. That's basically the two types of people that are at spots, right? And so when you're rubbing elbows and you're meeting these people, he got down with Pac, and you know, everybody from who's still alive from Junior Mafia will tell the story of like, yeah, Big and Pac were friends. Big told Tupac, like, yo, bro, that dude that you're messing with is a problem. Don't want to mess with him. Don't get involved with that dude. He's a problem and he's so strong in the streets, there's nothing anybody's going to do about it. Because like people are just like, look, I'm not going to go to war on behalf of Tupac with this dude. Like, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, this is a serious dude. But, you know, from the little Amazon doc that I had seen way, I feel like I watched this very early on in the pandemic, randomly. Before bed one night, I watched the Amazon joint. And I don't even remember what it's called. But basically, you know, he's on there telling a very beneficial to him type of story, right? Like, oh, I had nothing to do with it. I only messed, like, you know, street stuff was only with street people. I didn't rob people, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, everybody knows him and Jimmy Henchman were doing awful things to people around that time.
I didn't say I didn't rob people. That's all he did.
Yeah, he was a stick-up kid from Brooklyn, man. Like, you know,
was that y'all first time seeing him?
I've never seen or heard him. I knew of him, but I never.
Yeah. That was my first time, and I was like, wow, my man's got an ascot on. I didn't expect this legendary, like, stick-up dude to just, I mean, listen, I've had an ascot on a day or two. I'm not coming to anybody with ascots, but I don't expect the legendary, like you said, the legendary boogeyman to be chilling in this amazing crib, which I assumed was his, with an ascot on. Like, I just kind of threw me.
Yeah. See, I guess that didn't really shock me too much because I'm famous for going on like YouTube rabbit holes. And that's how I found like that same documentary Wos. And I'm like, what is this, an hour long? And it's like a Haitian Jack. Like, what is this? And I'm over, he's like sitting at like a beach bar smoking a cigar. Resort type thing. I'm like, and I'm like, wow, man, this dude's story is crazy. But as you just said, he has the benefit of being able to tell his side of the story when at least, you know, his story isn't completely Tupac Shakur, but like that is largely why a lot of people knew of him. And, you know, that other party has been dead almost a quarter century now. So, you know, but it's wild how they actually came to, you know, within the same universe, you know, the whole Madonna connection, which it'll get to in there. But we speak about Biggie telling him like, yo, fam, like because it was actually at a, and this isn't in the documentary. It's just like, I read everything I can about this type of stuff. And I'm just a nut on it when it comes to this. But it was at Biggie's, I believe it was Ready to Die release party in New York. And so obviously Big's there, of course, Puff's there, and Pac comes through there. But I believe Jack was there that night as well. But see, the thing was, like, this was probably about 2 months before the quad shooting.
Right.
And like Tupac didn't acknowledge Jack in the club, which in the streets is kind of like, how you not going to acknowledge me? Like, even if we beefing, you still got to give me a head nod. Like Pac would just like look by him. And like, that was kind of like, you know, some unwritten rule, like what you don't do in the streets. And at the same time, from prison, Mike Tyson is telling Tupac, yo,
that's the other wild shit.
Yeah, you got Biggie Smalls and Mike Tyson as Brooklyn can get. You know what I mean? Telling you, fam, you out of your league with this. But you know, by that point, like Tupac was so deep within a game that he could not get out of. I mean, the whole character in Above the Rim was allegedly Haitian Jack. You know?
Wow.
Word.
Yeah.
And it's
that's crazy.
That was the part where I stopped reading. When Tiz was like, Tupac based his whole swagger and his demeanor off of Haitian Jack. I was like, all right, this never came up in the doc. I gotta stop right now.
But the cool thing is, episode 3 gets to basically the bulk of all of that. So you ain't gotta wait too much longer for that.
So Tiz, what would you say is the primary goal of the doc? Like, what is the doc trying to teach us about that moment, these people? What are they trying to say about that time?
I think what I took from it is, you know, a lot of people see hip hop, especially nowadays, as like this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. It's got like a pop feel to it. But as you know, all of us know on this phone call right now, like at the root of it all, like you cannot tell the story of hip hop without talking about its connection to the streets, because that's where it came from. And a lot of these, especially early acts, especially, you know, acts in the 80s, whether it be LL Cool J's, Run DMC's, you know, Eric B. and Rakim's, like you can directly trace, you know, local drug dealers and their influence on it.
I feel like watching it I felt so like ignorant. Like the back of Paid in Full, Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah.
The back cover, it's literally them and all these drug dealers, man. Like the actual street dudes. And it's out there, thought they were their boys and shit. Like, no, these are the actual guys that that was running.
We just saw, what's his name? Michael Harris get out of prison. Harry O. He was the one that basically gave Suge the money to start
the seed money for Death Row.
Yeah. Right. So
Donald Trump freed the person who gave Suge Knight the seed money for Death Row. That is incredible.
I'm a terrible hip hop connoisseur. I knew like, I'll be honest with y'all. I knew none of the stuff y'all talking about right now. I had no idea what's her name? Deb?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No idea. Yeah, I didn't realize that's who Baby owes all that money to. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I had no idea. What's her brother?
Bimmy.
Yeah. See, now I didn't know. Like, here's the thing. I knew Bimmy. Bimmy's a street, like Bimmy's another one. Like, oh yeah, Supreme Team and all that shit. But when they showed the Late Show, the Tonight Show, whatever performance, and he's on stage, I'm like, this nigga was there. Like, I never knew. I straight up, like, it's one thing Wos to say, oh yeah, Harry O gave the seed money to start Death Row. It's another thing was like, that motherfucker was in the video, or what, like, you know, like, or like, you know, or that motherfucker was in the back cover of the album. This motherfucker was on the Tonight Show, like not in Long Beach, not the Long Beach concert, like on the Tonight Show in front of the white folk.
That's crazy.
And he's just there. He's just chilling. And even DMC says, like, when they're about to go on the Raising Hell tour, Beam's like, yo, let me hit you. Yo, you think I could go with you guys? And DMC's like, you're Bimmy, you do whatever the fuck you want, man. Like, why do you have permission? I need permission. Yeah, this motherfucker running the streets and shit. So like, that's the stuff that
it's interesting, because anytime you I would talk to older people in my neighborhood, they would basically, especially in Hollis and in Queens, they would basically say the same thing. Nobody wanted to be like a rapper. If anything, the DJ got a lot of respect, but nobody wanted to be like a rapper, dress like a rapper, walk like a rapper. The most influential people were the hustlers, were the street people. The reason why you saw those dudes wearing dookie rope chains, because that's what hustlers wore.
Right.
The 4-finger rings, that's what hustlers wore. The people who was getting money in the neighborhood, who had the fanciest cars, obviously, were the people who was selling crack.
Well, Wos, the funny thing is, even in the doc, they mentioned is that the early rappers, these niggas were wearing costumes like P-Funk, right?
Exactly.
So that's a big part of Run DMC's early popularity. Was like, oh, they dress regular. They dress not regular. They dress like us. Right. But by us, they were dressing like the neighborhood drug dealers with the rope chains and the black suits and the fedoras and all that. So it's crazy how direct of an influence it was. Way more than I think people realize. Tiz, let me ask you though, because it kind of the conversation centers around Deb and Bimmy on Big U out on the West Coast, Haitian Jack down in I guess now he's down in Dominican, and Trick, and through 2 episodes, it's been real light on Trick. Like we see a lot of Big U shit, we see a lot of Anthony family shit, we see a lot of Haitian Jack. Like Trick is just like some funny ass quotes, and then we're out. Does that change at all later on in the doc?
They definitely get into more of Trick story like later on, and I believe maybe like episode 4, episode 5. But as starting off, he's kind of more known for like that one liner, and then they go to like another. Like he's funny. He's the funniest.
He's funny as hell.
He's the funniest one on the show, hands down. Yeah, hands down. But I really enjoyed it too because I didn't know too much. Obviously, I knew about Bimmy and the Supreme Team, but he felt like the most humanizing character without the whole throughout the whole document. No, not even Trick, but Bimmy. Like when Bimmy, Bimmy talks about his story, because I didn't know too much about him other than the Def Jam affiliation, Supreme Team. But I really enjoyed his story as well. But you get the Trick more a little bit later, and but the next episode you got Jack.
So there's a podcast called Flip the Script with Queen's Flip and my man G Money. G Money actually went to Holy Cross with Ebe and hooped at Holy Cross. Amin, ironically, and he's the co-host of this podcast. And
what's his government name?
Gary. What they do is they basically chronicle street culture of New York City, right? Like a bunch of people who just came home, like people who was getting money in the 80s. And Bimmy did an episode, and I watched that episode, and bruh, like the dude's life is just so real. It's like
facts.
His life is just so crazy, and so real. So I would encourage people who are listening to this. Please go seek out the Flip the Script podcast. Watch the Bimmy episode. You'll get an even better idea of what type of cat he is, right? Like, if 50 Cent respects your street aptitude, you're a serious person.
and I feel like, if you watch the documentary, if you know anything about Bimmy or Deb, you know this. Deb is Waka Waka's mom. So Bimmy's his uncle, and so it is funny though, because it's like wholly removed, right? It's just 2 completely different experiences almost. That when you think about Waka Flocka and his career or whatever, and like this shit over here, it's kind of fucking wild. I don't know, like there were points I'm watching this, I'm like, that's Waka's mama, man. Like,
and you know what is ill too? It lets you understand that like hip hop has saved so many people from our communities. You know what I'm saying? Like to become an executive at a corporation like Def Jam, one of the most, to have founded Def Jam, if you're Russell Simmons, like all of these street dudes, all of these people that who knows what they would have had to resort to had it not been for the business of this Black music and culture. I think that's something that, people need to understand too. Like, these were the only avenues for these guys to be in corporations ever. These guys, Bimmy didn't go to nobody's college.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's nobody's MBA. Like, there would have been no other avenues for him to reach this type of success. Same with Deb Ackney, like same with his sister, discovering artists like Nicki Minaj, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there would have been no avenue for these people to become entrepreneurs and executives without this freaking art form and culture, man. It's crazy.
And they applied everything that they learned in the streets and just took it over to the music industry, which in a lot of ways is the same thing anyway, especially in terms of how deals go down. And I really liked how they basically took everything Wos just said and they put it against the backdrop of, America coming out of a Vietnam War, like the rise of the crack epidemic and, the over-criminalization of Black communities. And you put all of that into a melting pot, and that's what birthed hip hop. But, that's also what birthed the soundtrack for hip hop, which is the streets, which, hip hop is the soundtrack of life. But the soundtrack of hip hop are these characters in the streets, these, the Supreme Team and Queens and, cats in Brooklyn doing their thing, even dating all the way back to the early 70s with dudes like Melvin Combs. Obviously, that's Puffy's dad. Yeah. All of these things are like intertwined and tied together. And I think the documentary does a good job tying up all the loose ends. But you'll get Trick a little later on, though. His story's pretty wild.
The other thing I thought was really interesting is how many photos and home videos these people kept over the years. Like, I can't find shit from when I was 25, and that wasn't that long ago. These motherfuckers got the whole life documented. Big U out here fucking fighting people on the streets and shit. I'm like, how do they have tape of all of this? All of him with by the way, tell me he don't look like Spice Adams back with those short shorts and the socks. He looked a lot like Spice Adams with a Jerry Crow wig. But I was just surprised, man. Like, they got a picture of Preem and Bimmy and Curtis Blow. No, in the one in the car. Oh, the one like paparazzi shot. I'm like, how do y'all have this photo? Who found? Like, who took it? Who developed it? Who kept it? Who found it? Right? It's just I'm staggered. And then same thing with the video. When they talk about the brawl that happens at the concert at Long Beach, and how many different people were there. Like Jermaine Dupri was there, and Houdini was there, and fucking Run DMC, and LL Cool J, and everyone's like, yeah, I remember that shit. And like Snoop Dogg was there as a kid, watching it, and obviously Bimmy was there because he was on tour with these guys, and Big U was there because they're the one that's starting all that shit. And I'm just like, how's that happen, man? Like, I'm like, I don't know. It's truly mind blowing that they have all that information.
Some stuff is just beyond explanation, man. So it's just beyond explanation. But I'll tell you one thing. I would not want to fight Big U in the 80s, man. That dude.
Hell no.
He was brawling. Like, and man, his story gets a little wild towards the end as well. But
so Trey just hopped on with us. What's good, Blk Tray?
Yo, what
my
up,
guy?
What up, JT? What up?
What's up?
Talk to us, please, about Big U's reputation in the city of Los Angeles, as you know it.
Okay, yeah.
He's not the one. It's just nothing else. It's the one. You know what I'm saying? It's when you land and you try to make your rites of passage, right? Celebrity Wos, right? Wos is growing in LA. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to see you. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And in that particular situation, whether you're blood or Crip, he is that reputable. He has his hands in a lot of things. And although, for a little bit he sat down and he came home, like a lot of people don't even know how Nipsey Hussle even got a chance to rap about what's going on in the streets. You was like, who was that? I don't even know him. Nip had to fight. He had to literally fight in the hood to even be able to rap about the 60s. Because you're not about to make no money off that. So like when you see brands putting out Paisley shit, North Face, Supreme, all these motherfuckers, and they're selling a blue bandana type shit, how can you compensate the Crips? It's so many in the United States of America. How do you compensate this big business and not pay? So you got white motherfuckers from suburbia buying a Paisley red fucking puffer and you're wearing and you wondering why a motherfucker getting robbed or socked out and don't even know that people are dying for that for free. So, you know, I think Nipsey had a deal with Pony or before Puma. It was, you know, it was a deal that was supposed to be like the Crip shoe. And he's like, I didn't sign off for that because that's just not realistic. That like a sample leaked. And he's like, I can't make money off being a Crip. I can't I couldn't make money off being a Blood. It's just impossible because there's people, you have to pay a tax every city you go to. They be like, oh, Justin, all right, you in LA? Man, I need a bag. Okay, you in Detroit? I need a bag. You in New York? I need a bag. Because you extorting culture. But for you, Chris Paul comes to the city. He's like, hey, I'm nervous. You will make sure that shit not like nobody even looking at him, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you wonder why a guy out there doing all this. It's probably hollered at you. They checked in. And that just is what it is. You can't fight it. You can't be one of these dudes coming to the city. Like that whole Tekashi shit, he poking those somewhere. Because that ain't, if they get wind,
you know the vibes.
You know the vibes, bro.
You know the vibes.
That rainbow gonna be in
but
the wind.
I'll just say this to protect you and everybody else. I'll say this: he's just a good guy to know.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. He's just a great guy to know. That's it.
You just don't want to get on his bad side.
I can't believe Tekashi did that to Philly yesterday, man. That was crazy, Jerv.
Bruh, first of all, he didn't do it to Philly, bruh. Like, I don't understand how Meek is just Philly, bruh.
Crazy, son. That was crazy yesterday.
He heard the truce was over, Wos.
That was crazy, Jerv.
Oh, man.
It'll be all right, yo. Meek got a new song. I think Meek just dropped the song today, and I think he has a diss record for Bull. So I feel like all this shit is just staged.
That's what I say. That's when first thing I watch it, when everyone's like holding their phone and like hold me back, I was like, are we doing this? Are we really doing this? Honestly,
like Meek is nice, but he's not 24-hour nice like that.
I don't want to even talk about it, to be honest with you, because I know what it is. They're doing this shit so that they get a buzz, and then, oh, by the way, I have a new album that's coming out. Oh, okay. Yeah,
I hate rap. I can't.
Fucking lame.
Hold on. Can I ask you this real fast? Because I feel like I'm the only one on this pod that didn't know, especially since Tin says he goes down the rabbit hole. So he probably knows literally everything that happened in the documentary, like nothing was new. Y'all knew that the New Jack City was based off of
why are you mad?
Supreme?
You mad at Tin? Like he probably knows everything.
Because I feel like I should know this shit. Like I should know it. And Tin's out here stunting like, yeah, I knew all this shit.
I learned some new things in there as well. But you know,
y'all knew the New Jack City was based off of Supreme, though?
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
All right, cool. All right, then we all on the same boat. Thank you. Woo. I was nervous. I thought I was lost on that one too.
But it makes sense.
It's
makes
okay,
sense,
bro. It's okay.
You know?
It's okay to be lost in the sauce, bro.
Hey, so because I know Tins, you got to run soon. I do want to get your thoughts on Judas and the Black Messiah. Came out on HBO Max. Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya. Just quick reactions off of what you saw.
Man, if that doesn't get all the awards, and I'm not placing value on awards to talk about the quality of the movie. I think we all know how incredible that film was, and I'm just very happy that the name Fred Hampton is one, getting the respect that he obviously deserves, and two, his story is being told to the masses, man. Because I think a lot of people, you know, especially, you know, our age and maybe even younger, if they didn't take the time to do their due diligence, I don't know if they knew Fred Hampton's name outside of the Jay-Z lyric.
I was out the loop. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not who he was as a person, but I just wasn't really tapped in with the Panthers like that. You feel me? Like I knew who he was, but it was just like, that's my hard stop. Because for me, it just get me hot. And watching that movie, that's all that shit did was make me hot. Like I was just like, bro, I'm gonna tell you.
I'll tell you the shit that blew me away. I knew the basics of the story. Like I knew what they were doing. I knew how he tried to unite all the different colors, the Rainbow Coalition and all that. And I knew FBI had an informant in there and he got killed. Didn't know the specifics. But the biggest thing that shocked me, I didn't know he was 21, man.
Nah,
21.
that blew me.
You watch
21.
all them fucking speeches. And he says that's a 21-year-old dude who has that clarity and that grasp of the big picture to go over to the rednecks with the Confederate flag and like recruit them basically and saying, hey man, it's a socioeconomic struggle and they're pitting us against one another and they're eating at the top. That blew my mind. A 21-year-old had that wherewithal, man.
Hey, he can sell salt to a snail, like they said, bro.
Yeah, nah, he had the gift of gab, and y'all just mentioned it, but I think the thing that really got him killed was just the fact that, like, obviously at the end of Martin Luther King's life, he was really talking about a lot of that same stuff too, as where like, yo, we don't need to be in Vietnam. These black people, these white people, everybody else, we need to come together for a common good, and even. Maybe to a lesser extent, even the last couple of weeks of Malcolm X's life, he was like, all right, I've been doing this wrong a little bit. So once you start to try to unite everybody, that's when the government is like, oh no, we got to put a bullet in this dude. Like, because then that's just a different type of power.
So I watched the movie this morning. I was deeply moved, obviously, by just the movie has a lot of style to it and visual flair that I did not expect to have, right? Like, I don't know, like I just wasn't like it's shot so cool and beautifully. Like it's so incredibly shot, but like they delve kind of into the guy's politics, but like they don't hit you over the head with it. And they do a great job of explaining what this guy's life and message and mission was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm high off of the people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, where there's people, there's power. Like, when he walks into that spot and he's like, yo, yeah, your people were sharecroppers, aka overseers. Imagine what would have happened if we would have just slit Master's throat.
Right.
I was like, yo, they're really putting the message out there in this damn movie.
All them white people in our room had the Weebay look. They was like,
yo.
That shit
son,
yo,
man. Obviously, Daniel Kaluuya is just an amazing performer. Just goosebumps. It was crazy watching him perform. And Lakeith's job was different because he's playing a horrible, shiesty person. That's another thing that I enjoyed about the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely savaged the pigs.
He played
they killed the cops in that damn movie, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, go ahead, Justin.
Just one more thing. Like, another thing that obviously I knew about this and I knew the extent, but to see it on film, just to see how deeply, you know what I mean, they had all of these informants within the Panther Party, and seeing how deeply it ran, that was really, that made the hairs on my arm stand up, because I knew they were infiltrated a lot, but then to actually see it and put names with faces and understand different situations, that shit was crazy, man.
So I did my researches after I watched this. I watched the Eyes on the Prize documentary.
Oh wow.
With William O'Neill, the real William O'Neill in it, and yeah, this nigga's a terrible human being.
He's just bad.
He literally sat there trying to justify everything.
Yeah, he tried to make it shit like it was lit.
Like they've got that little clip at the end where he says, how are you going to be remembered? But the whole time he's saying, well, I thought the Panthers were doing good, but when they were talking about like, we got to do it by any means necessary, that's when I thought they crossed the line and they were putting more black people in danger and stuff. Like the shit he's saying in there, I'm like, yeah, man, now I know why you killed yourself as soon as this thing went out. Because he just like, I can't call it brainwash, because you could tell as he's saying it, nigga, you don't even believe that shit.
Right, yeah. He's sticking to talking points.
I watched an interview with Lakeith Stanfield. Lakeith Stanfield said, after I did this role, I had to go into therapy because it fucked me up so much. He said, first of all, there were times he's doing this, like, should I be doing this? Should I even be doing this? Because like I'm in this role, as an actor, I have a duty to kind of portray it as real as possible. And he says part of that is like kind of, there is a level of humanizing William O'Neill in this movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, that there is a conflict within him on some of this shit, and he doesn't know which way to go, and he's having the nightmares about getting shot and all that. But he's like, even within that, it's like, yo, am I supposed to be doing this shit? Should I be doing this shit? And he said, in the future, when he has to do a role like this, he's like, I'm going to do the therapy before and during, not just after I got out. Shaka, Shaka King?
Yeah,
is
Shaka
the
King.
director. That's his second movie. His first movie was a movie called Newlyweds.
I peeped it about the gentrifiers.
Yes, he entered it into he entered into Sundance. It cost him 6 figures to make with the investors and stuff. Went to Sundance, didn't get a look anywhere. They ended up selling for $25,000 to a Canadian distributor. So this dude, like, Sundance really broke his heart because all the buyers, if you guys don't know, they go to Sundance, buyers go to find the next big thing, right? That's where Get Out got sold, and all these like semi-indie movies, they get picked up by a buyer, and then it gets distribution. And all the buyers are telling him, well, you need famous black people to make a black movie. You can't make a black movie with unknowns.
Wow.
So he was like distraught. He was like, yo, like my whole life was put into doing this. And there was only one other black director at Sundance that year. He kept seeing them every day. So on the final day, they were like, yo, let's link up and like grab a drink and talk. The other director was Ryan Coogler, who was there for Fruitvale Station. So Ryan's Sundance was like amazing, like, because everyone was like, oh, this is a great movie, da-da-da. And they connected from there, and then they became friends. And that's why Ryan Coogler is the producer on this shit, because he actually had the idea for this, Shaka King did, very early on. Very, like, maybe 2014, 2015, he had the idea for this movie. And they had to rewrite it. And then they had a screening, and they showed it to, like, the OG black filmmakers, Ava DuVernay and C. McQueen and all that. And then they gave him notes, and he said, because he was an outsider, like he wasn't in this circle. He said, I had to learn, like Ryan taught me how to take the note behind the note. And I thought that was just a cool, like, little term, the note behind the note, meaning they're going to give you feedback, but it'll never be the actual direct feedback. They're going to couch it in a certain way, and you got to be able to read between the lines. Let's see what Daniel Kaluuya. Oh, I saw an interview with Fred Hampton Jr., who was obviously an activist, and he's in Chicago. I will say this: his father's gift of gab did not translate.
That's not fair of me. Come on,
I'm just saying.
One of the greatest orators of our
I
time.
know, but I mean, could you be good? Can you be at least good?
But at the end of the day, who is just as sick as they pops when it comes? If your pops that ill, how far does the apple fall from the tree?
Very far. Apparently, it rolled.
He's saying at least Marcus Jordan went D1.
Nah, because niggas hate him too, bro, with that bullshit ass release he did. Nah, watch out. So I get it. Stall homie out. You know what I'm saying? He ain't asked for that name.
But Fred Hampton Jr. he's doing the work. That's undeniable. And that was one of the questions the interviewer asked Daniel Kaluuya. If Fred Hampton were alive today, how do you think he'd feel about all this stuff he's seeing? Black Lives Matter and all the things that's happening. And Daniel Kaluuya gave the greatest answers. Like, how am I supposed to know this man with a brilliant mind like that at 21 looked at the world the way it was?
Mm-hmm.
Now you give him the benefit of 50 years of reading and listening to other people, and like, who knows where that genius would have gone.
That movie as well, I definitely got to give a shout out to what's the old girl's name? Oh, Dominique Fishback. She played obviously
Deborah.
Deborah. She played the hell out of that role, bro.
Job.
I can't give her enough praise, man. I mean, all the roles were great, but
all the roles are great, and I'm surprised. Everyone talk about Daniel Kaluuya, and he did a great job. But I'm surprised that the conversation is centered around him, because Lakeith Stanfield fucking knocked it out the park, man.
I think
like the nervous ticks.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, man.
I think I mean the reason why that he gets it, because most people are like, this is the Fred Hammond movie. I mean the Fred
Hampton movie. Yeah.
Hampton movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they just it's hung on that line.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever played that part, that's who's gonna get the flowers on that.
Trey, let me ask you a question. After watching it, do you still feel like this is the Fred Hampton movie? because I kind of felt like walked away like this is kind of the William O'Neill movie.
Yeah.
It was more so on the flip side, but also you got to think about it in the title, Judas.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, it's self-apparent. Like, you know what I mean? It's like if you know the Bible, you know about Judas, and you know, you at least associate there's gonna be some betrayal in this. And who is the traitor? And in this situation, it was William O'Neill. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you really think about it, but
I mean,
Tins, what do you think?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I felt like it was just as much a William O'Neill movie as well. But when we talk about Fred Hampton, there's no way to talk about Fred Hampton without talking about William O'Neill's actions, because his actions directly led to his death. It's like trying to do a Malcolm X movie without talking about his split with the Nation of Islam. Like, we know it happened, and we know how impactful it was. So I didn't think any less of the movie. I thought it did a great job just bringing to light who Fred Hampton was and what he was really about. And again, we've all hammered home this same fact that the dude was 21 years old. I'm still not the smartest man in the world, but at 21, I was an idiot. Look, you know what I mean?
I know y'all be going hard on my man Tupac, but
you missed the Pac slander. You missed the Pac slander.
I'm sure, man. Don't be disrespectful.
Tinsley didn't even deny it.
But here's the thing: you think about guys like Biggie, you think about guys like Tupac, you think about Fred Hampton. Anybody that was taken too early and have left a crazy impact that still has lasted over 20-some years, those people special, bro. Yeah, they special because it can't be to a point. It can't be mimicked. It can't be written in a book to say, all right, I'm gonna be like this. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to train this person up to be like this. You know what I'm saying? Because when they off this earth, they impact still reign. Like, again, Nipsey was here for 33 years. You look at the situation and his impact and still going on down the line. Like, again, not to go off topic, but what it feels like was done 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he can get that, like somebody can be like, not even ride the wave on like, oh, we just thirsty for a Nipsey verse, but it still gave that like, oh, did he record that last year or the year before last, before he passed? Instead of like, Hove hearing it 5 years and be like, all right, we're going to get up. Eventually, I'm going to give you a verse.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree, man.
Certain individuals that just leave a mark. You feel me?
And
versus people popping later in their life. You know what I'm saying? You know, the people that's, hey, he was 40 and he became a billionaire. And it's like those type of stories versus the niggas that was really cracking at 19, 20. And you looking at them like, how? Yeah. How? I'm still trying to figure out my life, nigga. I might.
And another thing that we do need to say, this guy was literally executed by the United States government.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
The government.
See, I didn't know about the poisoning. I knew he got
I ain't
shot.
know nothing about the poisoning.
Bro, I didn't know he was already poisoned.
That's OD.
The freaking government at war with its own fucking citizens, bro. It's crazy. I remember fucking crazy.
I spoke to Craig Hodges last summer because I was working on a story about Craig Hodges, and obviously we know about his role within like social activism and the voice that he's had for the better part of 40 years at this point. He told me himself when he was born in 1960. So when he's from the Chicagoland area, he was like that murder between Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, that single-handedly sent his life on a different course. Because he was like, I'm 9 at the time, but they were 21. He was like, if they can dedicate their lives to the people and try to make the world a better place, then I need to be doing that as well. But his vessel just turned out to be basketball, and in his case. And I just think about, in terms of the annals of history, it definitely before this movie, Fred Hampton's not on the upper echelon where the Malcolm X's and the Martin Luther Kings live, but like this movie, it I think, even for somebody like my mom, like she was alive when Fred Hampton got killed, and she knew about Fred Hampton. She understands who he is. But she didn't know all of this was going on. And she was almost 15 at the time when he got killed. And so that's the beautiful part about Black history is that it oftentimes it is painful, but you see how we've changed the world. Like this man changed the world and he was at the time of his death, he was just allowed to legally drink if he chose to. You know what I mean? If he chose to.
That was the other thing that William O'Neill was talking about, man. He said they tried to get dirt on him so many different ways. They tried to catch him doing drugs, like messing around with women, womanizing, drinking, like any way to discredit him. And he said he was so clean, we couldn't. Like, we literally couldn't.
It is a special place in hell for J. Edgar Hoover, bro. Like, that man had been trying to kill. He is the literal interpretation of evil.
Yo, I like the part that he highlighted. His mom used to babysit Emmett Till. Like, so when you said, you know what I mean, like Craig Hodges being affected by that, think about the events that kind of got him probably like, you know, I keep this editorial of Emmett Till's, you know, basically the pictures of him being, you know, kind of in the situation. And
man, they really savaged the pigs in this movie, bro. I was so happy about that, bro. Like, that shit made me, I'm like, yeah. Pigs,
dog,
facts.
They deserved it. And like the stuff that, like when they burned the building down, when they purposely burned, you know, I was so mad with that. And I tell you what I didn't know, and I'll just say this, I mean, like at the very end, obviously they had shot up the house. I did not know old boy walked right up on him and shot him point blank. Like, he was already dead at that point. I'm like, bro,
that's the thing. Like, the details is the shit that this is what great about a movie like that. It gives you the details, because I know he got shot, but I always figured it was kind of like the earlier scene where it was a shootout and he got shot in that. I didn't realize he was dying in bed from poisoning that they're giving him earlier. And they walked up and he's like, oh, he's almost dead. Psh, now he's dead. Like, that part. And, you know, again, that's not dramatization, because I watched the Eyes on the Prize doc, and Deborah, the real Deborah, talks. So all of that stuff is her recollection, basically. Saying, I'm walking out, and all I'm thinking about as I'm walking out is, don't trip, don't stumble, don't fall, because any sudden movement, they'll shoot you. I didn't even close my robe, she said, because I was worried that my movement would throw them off. And she said, I heard an unfamiliar voice say, he's here. He doesn't look in good shape. And then a little bit later, she says, I hear that same unfamiliar voice after gunshot say, he's dead now, good and dead, or whatever the lines in the movie, the number of stuff. Because when I watch the Eyes on the Prize, a lot of the movie is based on it. And those are direct quotes, man. Even the way dude talking about him stealing the car and getting picked up by the FBI, like, it's almost verbatim. It's like that, that's what he did. That's exactly how it happened.
I appreciate it.
When these movies come out, there's always a level of like, hey man, it's Hollywood. We gotta, you know, like I remember in
it's One Night in Miami.
Or One Night in Miami, or like even Malcolm X. Like, I remember I read the book before I watched the movie. And then watching the movie, I'm like, who's this guy? Like, Spike Lee's character. That's not a real person or whatever.
He had to get that off, though. Shouts to Spike. Hey, no. Shouts to Spike. We ain't gonna do
that brother's starving.
That brother's first of all, that brother's starving.
I
and
love
get your
how
hand
that
on my pocket, nigga. It's two of the greatest ad-libs that you could have added to any movie.
That brother's starving.
I love how that line has made a resurgence over the past couple of months. That brother's starving.
In jail, Malcolm X's brother was the one that got him to convert. In the movie, it's some dude. It's some guy who's some random Muslim. So, like, to watch this movie and then watch that documentary afterward and realize, fuck, they stayed true to the source material as much as humanly possible was, I mean, just tremendous work by Shaka King and by Ryan Coogler and all the other people responsible there. Did you guys get a chance to watch that Dave Chappelle thing on Instagram?
Yes.
Yo, I love Chappelle, man. I think he's brilliant. I think he's the best or whatever.
But there's a but coming.
I'm just saying, like,
Amin's been on his butt since last time. It's like you signed a contract. So let me hear. Yeah, I was waiting on it.
No, because he's like he's talking about people like me who's saying you signed a contract, but he's talking again, even as he got his shit back. He's talking as an artist who acts like he don't understand how business works, and even within him getting his rights back, he still doesn't understand that he is not talking from the typical standpoint of an artist. Meaning, Dave Chappelle can put out an Instagram video, tell everybody to stop watching my shit, and that shit'll work.
Mm-hmm.
That's not because they were wrong to sign him to that deal. That's because he wields a power that 99.99999% of artists could not do. And I'm not even talking about, the comedian that no one's heard of. I'm talking even the biggest of the big names can't do what he did.
Just in general, a lot of people ain't gonna get that off, is what you
said. They can't do that, man. They can't do that. And so my thing from the beginning wasn't, well, you shouldn't have signed the deal. My thing was always, Tins, was that Dave Chappelle didn't sign that deal as a 19-year-old who eyes wide. Oh my God, this is the big time. He signed that deal knowing he could pick up the phone and call Eddie Murphy. He could pick up the phone and call Chris Rock and say, hey guys, do y'all think this is a good deal? Should I hold out? Should I not do this? You're like, he's trying to paint a picture of him being a naive child. You were 29 years old with big friends all throughout comedy in Hollywood. They could at least advise you. So don't act like, I was just a child taken advantage of and this monstrous machine, because the monstrous machine does take advantage of people who sign them to fucked up deals because they don't have Eddie Murphy on speed dial to ask, hey, is this possible? And so I just thought it was just kind of like, bro, why are you trying to paint yourself as the little guy when the whole story starts and ends with you were already established? You're obviously way more established now. That's why you were capable of doing those things. Now everyone's gonna call me a coon, right? It's jigaboo.
Hey, you set it up. Hey, that's just say you threw it off the glass for these motherfuckers to windmill that shit. But overall, go ahead, Tins.
No, but he said he had a line in there where he was like, I want to thank y'all for helping me get my shit back. And I'm like, well, you gonna break us off with a little bit of something, you know what I mean?
Thank you for doing my job. Thank you for helping me out.
You know,
my reward to you is you get to watch it now. That you could have done anyway. I mean, just, I don't know. I find a lot of him. I find the martyr, Dave Chappelle, the martyr, a little just too over the top, man. Like, woe is me, and oh my God, and like, bro, you all right, man. You good.
The whole contract thing didn't really rub me the wrong way. I felt some type of way about it, but I was like, it's whatever. The opening monologue where he was talking about him catching COVID, and he was like, it's the people on, the small crowd, however you described it. He was like, they're celebrating. I'm like, well, for one, you can't pay attention to people on Twitter with like 8 numbers in their username. Right. Like, just don't listen to that crowd.
4544.
But I'm also like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, Dave, but also, bro, like, you be out here like at venues, no masks anywhere, around like tons of people like hugged up on them. Like, it was going to happen. The law averages stated it was going to happen, Dave. So like, just take it on the chin. I'm glad you're okay. But his part about the white people, the nigga moment, the Capitol riots, I thought that was Dave at his best. And I wish he would like focus more on that type of stuff, because as he does more of these streams of consciousness, because they're not even stand-up comedies anymore. They're just streams of consciousness with the joke sprinkled in there every now and then. I think that's where he's at his best, when he's talking about that.
To me, but like, you hear what you said, Tiz? You just said, when you talk about shit that's not your personal life and how woe is you. Woe is me, I caught COVID. Woe is me, my contract sucks. Woe is me. Like, that shit, I'm like, that's not your brilliance. That's you feeding the sycophants, the people in the crowd who, no matter what you say, they just want to worship it, right? And to me, his brilliance is like, when you're talking about shit that applies to everybody else. It reminds me of, do you guys remember Martin Lawrence's stand-up Run Tell That?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite.
Yeah.
You love that shit? Like, to me, that was the worst, because it's like, rather than him it was trash, because all he did was complain about his life. Oh, and they had
that's
me.
The second one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
I was laughing. I ain't gonna say that shit
the nigga was crying the whole time, man. Like, I'm like, stop crying.
Yeah.
Stop crying. Nobody cares about how
we don't want people cry. I feel you.
So rich people don't cry. Okay.
No, cry, just not on
don't
camera.
Don't sell me you're crying. Sell me your comedy. Sell me your social commentary. Don't sell me, they're treating me so bad. I'm like, I don't care, bro. you live in a great house. You live in a like you're not struggling. Like Cat Williams can do that shit because that nigga getting his ass beat by 12-year-olds. I'll buy like when Cat Williams tells me his struggle shit, I listen to that shit. I'm like,
there goes our Cat Williams feature. Hey, well, there goes Cat Williams. We won't get him. He decides to follow me back. No, I'm just playing, but no, I get it. I mean, yeah, niggas is crying too much, and they can wipe, as he showed in the video, him wiping his money.
Like, yo, no, and it's not even that, yo, like your life isn't fair or that you don't go through struggles. It's just, as a normal person, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Right. Like,
not as content.
Yeah,
not like now. If you tell it in the David Letterman interview, oh man, that's cool. That's the side of Dave I didn't know. Blah blah blah. That's cool. But like when it's sold to us as content, like, bro, like I'm not looking.
Yeah,
I'm
what
not
you want me to do with that?
Yeah, like, oh man, like Wos said, like Dave Chappelle got his rights back and now he gets paid an accurate amount and a fair amount for. Yeah, we did it. Wait, what did we get?
Right.
Because nigga, I could have watched that shit at any time on HBO Max. I was doing you a favor. I didn't. I listened because I like Dave and I want him to get his money, but like that shit doesn't. That don't make me eat.
For sure.
Anyways,
shouts to Dave. We can all watch the comedy special again.
Yeah.
I mean, the sketch show again.
Yeah, now I'm with it. I just got to find out. It's so hard to watch like season sets like that. I can't watch it straight through from start to beginning. I like how they run Fresh Prince or Martin, where you just got random ass episodes. And I wish Netflix did some shit like that, where they had a random button where they could pick the episode for you, where you got a shuffle of
a shuffle. Yeah,
that'd be dope.
Because the shuffle, when you turn on, you like, I just came home from a spot or whatever, right? Jerv, you come home from work, you turn on TV, Wayans Brothers on. You're not going to be like, I'm going to watch season 1, episode 1. You're going to be like, damn, this is the episode with TC and some other shit. Or, you know what I mean? Kevin Garnett on this episode or it's fucking Jingle 2000. And you're like, great, because it fits versus there's no build up in those shits. You feel me? So.
Yo, can I be real? I feel like I shouldn't say this during Black History Month, especially now with my background. Yo, I never watched the random ass Martin or any of them episodes. You know what I watch?
What?
I watched The Office and Seinfeld.
Oh, see, there you go.
Like I don't
making a white man richer.
Black card revolt.
Look at that index hand. That's the index finger that's bent. That's the hand you represent.
Now don't get it twisted.
You see this Jerv right here? Throw it away. Come on.
That black card is gone, bro. I don't give a fuck how many spades games you done played.
Nice to shit
my man.
By the way.
Love, bro. Love that you're wearing a Crenshaw.
Jerv is gonna miss the next 3 games due to shucking and jiving.
That nigga had contact tracing with white people.
And I say that as somebody who loves The Office, man, but
yeah, I think I watched every episode this entire pandemic.
Jerv, real talk, I've been binging Always Sunny in Philadelphia, man, from season 1, episode 1.
Is that fire?
Fire.
I've never seen it.
I'm gonna tell you why it's fire. You wildin', Jerv. It is fire, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Show, Jerv.
Most shows that are funny, right?
Y'all,
yeah.
Once again, y'all don't.
All right, go back to watching Friends, Jerv.
Yeah,
never seen an episode of Friends, bro. Don't do that to me, bro. Don't do that. Always Sunny is not good from a Philadelphia standpoint because it's not fucking realistic. It's not realistic.
Yo, the first episode, they go to Temple to the Black Student Union. Like the first episode, bro. Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, most comedies that have been on for a while, like they usually take a season or 2 to get their like legs, right? Like if you watch season 1 of Seinfeld, if you watch season 1 of Fresh Prince, if you watch season 1 of any of these great comedies, it's a little rough, especially after you've gotten accustomed to watching the other shit. Yeah. Always Sunny, from episode 1, these motherfuckers came out the gate on 10. Oh my God.
I watched the first couple seasons, like the first 2 or 3,
bro,
and then it got weird. It got too weird for me.
Oh man, no, that's where it gets good. All right, man. Speaking of weird, Tinsley's got to run. Tins, go ahead and pump whatever stuff you got out there. I know we talked about
man doing outside the lines around the horn. He's a fucking TV star now.
You know,
stand up.
this face belongs on the tizoob, as my man Martin Lawrence once said. Nah, man, I'm just working on that. I definitely got some bigger projects long term. Yeah,
it's like you tweeted it, so it's not like you can keep this a secret.
I'll tell y'all what it is once we stop recording, only because I'm not allowed to say what it is about this yet. But yeah, I'm working on that, and I'm working on a podcast as well. So, you know,
there you go, man.
Yeah, so you know, some like narrative driven type stuff, not like, hey, KD dropped 30 last night. Here's my hot take. You know what I mean? People are better at that
to the experts, fam.
Yeah, exactly. So, working on that, but yeah, man, just trying to stay safe and stay healthy out this bitch. You know what I mean? So,
all right, dope. Well, thanks a lot, Tins, for joining us. This has been Black Opinions Matter, motherfucker. Y'all stay black out there, motherfuckers. I don't even know why I said that.